The superintendent of Clinton Public Schools is Tyler Bridges. Good to see you, Superintendent.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me on.
Home of the Red Tornadoes, which we've always felt bad about that in Lindsay because we lost so many times during the summer.
I think there's a lot of schools that can say that.
That's exactly right. We've been talking about this legislation and that it sort of unleashes the ability of superintendents in Oklahoma to better adapt to the changing environment, especially when it comes to workforce and higher ed, career tech, whatever that might be. Does it do that?
It does, 100%. And I think the most important thing behind the conversations that we've been having is kind of eliminating some of the constraints that we see within our current graduation requirements and some of the things that, the non-flexibility that we have for some students that know what they want to do or at least want to explore what they want to do. And some of the constraints that we have to be able to build programs that are things that our kids want, things that our community wants, and obviously things that will be beneficial to the state of Oklahoma, even in our local areas and industries that'll be important. So 100% I do agree. It does exactly what we're wanting it to do.
Does it take away anything that you have right now?
No, absolutely not. We still have the local ability, and that's the beauty of the conversations we've been having is if you want to continue to have the traditional format that we have now, there's nothing in this law, there's nothing in this bill as it stands now that precludes you from doing that. If that's exactly what you want to do, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But then if you do want to branch off and you do want to build a career pathway program, internship programs, all those types of things for the larger number of students regardless of their grade level through their high school experience, this allows you to do that as well. And so we have some extremely high quality programs, but a lot of times they're centered, those career pathway programs are centered in larger districts that have the capacity and just the student numbers to do those things. This opens it up to where there's a lot more flexibility for smaller students or smaller school districts rather, and districts across the state to be able to do the same thing.
Could you give me a real world example about what you could do if this were to become law in terms of, well, from a student standpoint, a parent standpoint, and from school administration around the state? Yeah,
so Career Tech obviously has been is a vital partner to public schools in Oklahoma, and obviously has been a part of this conversation as well. And so making Career Tech courses and those kinds of things is more accessible, more relevant to the high school experience, to the career pathway experience. But when we talk about students that may get to their junior or senior year and they've maybe put off some of these required courses that they have to graduate or to be in compliance with current state law, and they have a choice where they say, well, I know that I want to weld, that's what I want to do, that's what I'm doing at Career Tech, and I could take this ag mechanics class or this ag power class and get more experience on something I already know I'm passionate about, or I have to take this one course that I haven't taken yet that's required by law to graduate, or so, right. And there's nothing wrong with foreign language and art and those types of courses. We're hugely passionate about those areas as well, but maybe not necessarily that they have to be mandated for every kid to take. If they know what they want to do and they have a pathway, I think it's important to allow students, parents, and also obviously school districts to have the flexibility to be able to do those things.
When would you start counseling students on, if this were to become law, on the flexibility that it would give them in terms of their careers?
So obviously we already have ICAP that's in place right now, which is a career planning component that starts in the 6th, 7th grade. This makes ICAP so much more relevant because now we have the ability to pair what students say they want to do, or maybe at least what they think they may want to do, with some actual programs that we have. And so in our school districts, just speaking for Clinton Public Schools, we would start it immediately. We already have kind of a growing starting career pathway program, but again, we have some constraints to that. And so we would essentially begin building this program immediately.
So a lot of the conversation obviously has been workforce development, but from an educator's standpoint, is this the wave of the future? And can you, from this legislation, would you be able to plan 5, 10, 20 years down the road better?
Without a doubt. And this is something that I think, and I don't want to misquote, I think 23 states across the country already have some form of flexibility within their graduation requirements, have some sort of career pathways, on and off ramps for kids to be able to pursue things they're passionate about. And then sometimes I think we don't talk enough about offering opportunities for kids to maybe experience something to figure out they don't like it too. And I think that's important as well. Maybe we think we like this health careers pathway, and then we get into it and maybe we don't particularly care for it as much as we thought we did. And so I think all of those things are important experiences for our kids.
Now, you're rural, and there's a lot of rural Oklahoma, and there's a lot of problems. We see lots of stories about healthcare, and then the kids leaving, that sort of thing. Is this going to help rural Oklahoma?
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, whenever we think about the ways we're going to build our career pathways programs, we're actually talking to local industries. We're actually contacting people that have businesses in our community and in western Oklahoma to say, hey, whenever we make this transition and whenever we build these programs out, do you want to be a part of that? And we've been met with nothing but positivity and willingness to do those things. And so 100% I think it's a completely valid way to make for certain that not only are students obviously prepared for workforce, but they're prepared for workforce maybe in their portion of the state to be able to stay and contribute.
You've got Career Tech Western Oklahoma and you've got higher ed in Western Oklahoma. You think they're all on board?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I mean, to me, again, this just opens opportunities because I know that we talk a lot about workforce development, but again, this also helps our students that are taking concurrent courses, our students that are obviously getting that soft launch into college and doing those things while they're still in high school. And so I think this is just, the complete package whenever we're looking at being able to provide districts with the flexibility and communities with the flexibility to design an educational experience that's right for their kids.
Anything else that has come up during the discussion of this particular bill?
I mean, obviously there are always concerns anytime there's changes, and there's really, there's nothing. I don't ever want to say there's anything wrong with the system that we have now in terms of our graduation requirements. It's just providing, again, responding to the needs of the state and being a little bit more nimble to our communities and being able to pivot and change and change programs to the needs of our kids. And so I think that's the most important message to portray in this conversation is it's not about saying what we currently have isn't good. It's about saying that we think there's more, and there's more to do if you want to do that in your local district. Your board wants to do it, your leadership wants to do it, your community wants to do it, and your kids want to do it and they need it. You've got the opportunity to grow those programs that could be good for, not just maybe your portion of Oklahoma, but Oklahoma as a whole and obviously this part of the country. So.
Oh, your teachers support this?
Oh, 100% I believe so. Yeah, and we've talked about it with our high school leadership and things like that, and our counselors as well. And again, this provides a lot more validity to even some other programs, like I mentioned ICAP before, that are already in place, where right now maybe we're hamstrung on being able to build out those programs. This provides us the opportunity to say, hey, we have 50 kids in the 7th grade that have identified that they want to be in this type of career. Let's create a career pathway where they can actually take some of those courses and get exposed to those things while still in high school to get a leg up on things, to be ready, or again, to maybe figure out I didn't want to do that as much as I did and still have the opportunity to efficiently pivot to another industry and be able to enter the workforce or again, or continue their education with higher ed and those types of things. So
I do have one more question here, and it is, so I have had 3 high school graduates starting in 07, I think, 04 or 05, somewhere there. 3. All 3 of them started universities. All 3 of them got out of universities. All 3 of them were later saying to me, Dad, I really didn't want to do that. That's just kind of the way it was, right? Do you think that we're going to see less of students exiting high school not really sure or making missteps just because they didn't have other options at the time or counseling?
Does this keep them from being in that situation? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think so, because again, we see students, and I've mentioned it a couple times before in this conversation, we see students that maybe think they want to do something, and then once they get into it, they figure out maybe they don't want to. And we don't want someone to graduate from college and get into an industry and say, man, I really don't like this. We want, obviously, that we talk about it in our district as like a soft launch, and we're trying to expose kids to things, because you'd also be amazed, especially in some of our more rural or maybe our lower socioeconomic status communities throughout Oklahoma, where we have kids that, they think of the banner professions, doctor, lawyer, engineer, those types of things. They don't even know, just due to lack of exposure, they may not even know the wide array and wide range of professions that exist even within things that they say they're interested in. And they don't even know those jobs exist. And so it's really just an exposure thing. So I think the more we can build out programs to expose kids to things that they may not otherwise be exposed to me, it's just a win-win. I don't see how you can go wrong with trying to, steer kids toward their passions that they already have, and then provide other opportunities for them to see things that they may figure out, hey, I really like this and I'm passionate about it. I didn't even know it existed, but I got this experience. And then obviously I think that's good for everybody.
Super. All right. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Appreciate
Yeah,
that,
thank you.
Superintendent.